not Bob. Well, this particular chapter is about the 7 years I spent on hemodialysis until I got my kidney just 9 months ago. So, first we got to talk about what dialysis is. This is not a totally, boring chapter, but it is necessary. Hemodialysis is when a person's kidneys fail, and they fail to produce urine, or they fail to take the toxins out of your blood, or they just die on you. There's so many ways that people lose their kidneys. It's not even funny. I'm 63 years old. I was on dialysis 7 years. Okay, I was a little older, but there were young kids in the dialysis room, 15, 16, 20 years old with no kidneys. Yeah, okay, some of them lose them through an accident, punctures the kidneys, and you're stuck on dialysis 3 times a week. But 15-year-olds and 19-year-olds with no kidneys. I found out when I got my transplant that kidneys also die through genetics, and that kills your kidneys. Anyway, so why am I calling this chapter Mechanical Vampires and Their Modern-Day Renfields? Well, those of you that are book nuts, you'll know that Dracula in the 20s and 30s movies had his sidekick, Renfield, who'd run around, grab him, his victims, and bring them to him. And the only thing Dracula let him eat was spiders. Yeah, no, it's a creepy guy. Anyway, so the mechanical vampires are the dialysis machines, because they stick in huge coffee straw-sized needles into your access, whether your arm, your legs, wherever they can put an access. And it sucks all the blood out of your body in about 30 seconds and puts it back in. It's 2 needles. The other way they do that is you either have something called a fistula. That's where they tie an artery to a vein, and once that takes hold, they call it a thrill. Oh yeah, it's a thrill, right? You feel someone who has one of these things, you feel the wrong buzzing. That's the artery going to the vein and the turbulence that it creates. The other way they do it is if your veins are too small. They put something in called a graft, and that's a long Gore-Tex tube that gets, if I said telegraphing, would you understand that? For those who don't, when you put a stitch into something to hold it closed, if you're not sure that stitch is going to hold in one place, there it is. You wrap a stitch around the item, and you make it a very long stitch. And this is called telegraphing. So it's not just holding on in one spot, it's holding on like for a ½ an inch long of threading. So it can be pulled, but it's not going to rip just one spot. And that's what they do with a graft, long operation. When they finish, it takes about a month for your body to catch up with healing from having that graft, and then they can start using the graft or the fistula to stick those coffee straw-sized needles into you to exchange your blood. A dialysis mean only in the 4 hours you're on the machine on average, only takes out 2/3 of the toxins that your normal kidneys would normally do. So that's why they have you on dialysis 3 times a week. You're not fully dialyzed like your kidneys would do, but at least they get most of it out. Your hemoglobin is usually pretty low. So when you're on these machines for 3 times a week, um, after you're on it for a couple of months, you're kind of gray when people look at you because you don't have enough blood in your system. Not that you're losing it, you're just not making it. And what they do is they give you an enzyme to help you make blood, but it's not the same as having an organ that does it. The other thing is kidneys process your food. When you get on dialysis, you got to restrict your water intake. You got to remember your food is 2/3 water, and so your body sees the dry stuff, but more importantly, your body sees the water in the food. And limiting yourself to 2.5 pounds of water a day. Remember, that's only 2 bottles of water, 16-ounce bottles of water. That's not a lot of water at all. But so many people come into dialysis, they have a cup of coffee, they have a beer when they get home, they have this, they have a couple of glasses of water, and they come to dialysis 10 and 15 pounds heavy because you're not losing the water. Not to say you're fat as a pig, but your body's behaving like a pig. Anything that goes into a pig's mouth stays in its body until it gets rid of it. It doesn't sweat it out, it doesn't do anything like that, it stays in you. And they got to take it out through dialysis. Helping people with kidney disease is very important. Because I had genetics wrong with my kidney, I was only eligible for a cadaver, dying and donating their kidneys after death. Most people that are in pretty good shape, they can have a living donor. So great, because when the body dies, that means everything shuts off. There's no more blood flowing through, there's no more brain activity, and it could only be 10 minutes that the person's dead. The kidney that they take out, or any other organ, has deflated, and it's no longer functioning. And then you got the transportation from the dead person to the living donor, and that can take a couple of hours. And when a kidney goes into a living donor, sometimes that kidney takes 3, 4, 5 days before it starts functioning normally again. Sometimes it doesn't, but for the most part it does. And that's a very viable thing about getting a transplant. If you're lucky enough to have the right insides where you just lost your kidney for whatever, and you get a live donor, the kidney doesn't stop functioning except for the time it takes to take it out of the live donor and put it into the recipient. So the kidney is alive the entire process, and it starts right up, and the person that gets the kidney starts working immediately. Makes a lot healthier transplant. The other things the kidneys do is your food that you intake. The minerals, the nutrients, the stuff that's good for you. If you exercise, you need potassium, you need magnesium. Well, when you're on dialysis, your artificial kidney, the dialysis machine, the mechanical vampire, doesn't take out potassium and magnesium. So that means whatever's in your system stays in there. And if people who have heart surgery, do you know how they stop their heart for that little bit of time until they give them a shot of potassium? Yes, the same stuff that you eat. If you get too much of it, it stops your heart. And if you're eating potassium and there's no doctors around when your heart starts, you stay dead. Okay, you had a great time. You had 15 bananas and 12 avocados, and your heart stops. Oh well, you ate good before you died. Not the way I want to go. So, you got to be careful about what you eat. You got to be careful of the water you take. You got to be careful of the food you eat. Beans. You love pork and beans. You love eating baked beans. You can have a teaspoon of beans every 3 days. Total. So spread the teaspoon out among your food, and you have maybe eight beans inside your food every 3 or 4 forkfuls. You're still having beans. Not a lot. Sounds like a lot of restrictions. It is. But if you don't follow the restrictions, well, then you get a chance to watch daisies grow from under the earth. No, you're not breathing, but you're under the earth. And, you know, if your eyes were open and you can see through the dirt. But then again, your brain's dead too, so you'd be dead. Anyway, and the modern day renfields are the nurses and the technicians that are monitoring those machines, listening for an alarm, see if someone's getting faint on a machine, because it's taking water out, and if it takes too much water out, you cramp, you faint, you start barfing all over the place on the machine, because the machine took out too much water. So that's what their function is, to make sure you stay alive and healthy on a machine. Now, you don't have to go to a kidney dialysis clinic. You can learn how to do it yourself at home. There's 2 methods that work. The first is peritoneal dialysis. This is where they fill your peritoneal cavity that's underneath your stomach, and it's where your organs are. And that has a semi-permeable wall behind it. And when you fill the cavity with dextrose, sugar water, it's at a lower density than your body. So through that peritoneal wall, your body exchanges your water levels, your toxins, and any other fluid levels into the dextrose solution. And then the machine that put it in, the machine sucks back out. About once an hour, there's an exchange of about a gallon of fluid back and forth. And you do that every night while you sleep. A great way of doing dialysis. 2 problems. Problem number 1, it's prone to infections. You clean the tube, you clean everything before you connect everything. Something gets in, puts some sort of a bacteria into the tube, and you wind up with peritonitis. Not a fun thing to wind up with. They give you massive dosage of morphine to kill the pain until they clear it up. You can only get 3 infections before they pull the whole thing out. The other thing that people have a hard time with, and that is pets. I have 2 dogs and a cat. I kept them away from me while I'm on the machine and everything, but the machine has a drain line, and I had it on the drain line, and the drain line was 23 feet away into the toilet. Well, one of the cats got in one day, followed the line, and started chewing the line where the fluid comes out. The cat's saliva, 20 feet away from me, bit through the hose. That gave me feline peritonitis, which is really hard to cure. And again, lots of morphine, hospital, everything. I was only on 1 more infection after that. After that, it came out. That's PD dialysis. The other method is home hemodialysis. That's really cool, but you must have a partner that's with you the whole 2 hours that you're on the machine, 6 nights a week. They have to sit with you and monitor what goes on with that machine and you. Because if they don't and something starts to go awry, you just go, and you're dead. But you only do it 2 hours a night for 6 nights a week. So that's another viable option. And then you go to doctors once a month and this and the other. And it's a viable way of doing dialysis. And if you're real lucky, you have someone that would donate a kidney and say goodbye to the nightmare. If you don't, you wait until your turn is up, and that takes anywhere from 5 to 6 years for your number to come up in the list, and you get a kidney that way. And then you start life over again. For the time that you're on dialysis, it's a bit of an adjustment, but then again, what's the alternative? So, anyway, that's this thing on mechanical vampires and their modern-day renfields. You want to know more about donating kidneys? Oh, that's something I need to tell you about, donating kidneys. Did you know that 80% of the people that are born with 2 kidneys, only one is working? Yeah, only one. 20% are born with 2 kidneys and they both work. And you never know that you only are working off of 1 kidney until you go in to donate and they say, no, you can't donate a kidney. They go, why not? It says you only have 1 working. So, those who have 2 kidneys, you can live with 1 because transplanted people only have 1 kidney. So, every person that can donate a kidney to another person is changing their lives forever. And all these people that are dying from opioid poisoning that's laced with fentanyl, they go, oh, this is good stuff, it's going to make you feel high. They touch their skin with it. The fentanyl kills them in about 8 seconds. And that does get into the bloodstream and does affect their kidneys. Other organs they can possibly use, but it does affect the kidneys. So you have all these people dying, but you can't use their organs. So we don't want them to die. We don't want them to take drugs. Let them smoke pot until it comes out of their ears. That hasn't been proven that it kills you. You may not come back from being high, but it doesn't prove it kills you. Anyway, that's it. And to end this chapter off, I could say, go to your local hospital. Ask them about kidney transplant. Ask them, is there anything you can do to help some individual that is on dialysis, whether they know you or not? You never know. You can always give something to help somebody. All right, well, this is Tim Fava, and thank you for listening to this story. And I got a couple of good ones coming up. Nothing like this message that, like the no, don't smoke, whatever message that they have on TV. Okay? Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you all in the next one.